Well, hello everybody. Nice that you're all here to meet us during this special tech webinar about get more out of your Mimaki. Next to me are Michiel Bai and Kai Petersen. And my name is Peter Kleinstra. We are all part of the tech here in Amsterdam, sunny Amsterdam, till so far. Before we start the whole webinar, I will first explain a few housekeeping rules. For now, all attendees are muted. If you have any question during this webinar, there is a chat screen where you can ask your question. On the end of this webinar, we have a Q&A session, and we will try to answer as much as possible of your questions. So send us any question. For if we go too quickly, we will record this session anyway. We will upload to YouTube, but also in the agenda of this Mimaki Innovation Days afterwards, you can probably see the video back. So it will be recorded. We will quickly take you to the agenda, so a small introduction. We will do tips and tricks. We will talk about maintenance, online resources where you can find information, some frequently asked questions we got from the field by social media, and Q&A session in the end. I will give now the word to Michiel Bai, who will talk you to the tips and tricks.
Thank you, Peter. I will explain some tips and tricks. And the first part of the tips and tricks will be about loading in the media. So, Jordi, could you start the video? Then we will show you how the media is done. So here you can see how we would like to see you load in the media. So we have here the roll holder on the back side that we put underneath the clamp lever, and then you can load in the media. And the media, you make sure that it is tight, you lock it, and in case you over tighten it, it cannot roll so well. So just make sure you rotate it 2 or 3 times just to make sure that it's okay. And to remove any tension there, you can just loosen it and tighten it again. This is what we don't like to see. This is what we do like to see. So make sure that the media is really straight, rolled up straight, because otherwise the media can skew. So now we will load in the media into the machine. Make sure that the pinch rollers are up, and then you can just load it in as demonstrated here. On the other side, so you can lower the clamp, and then on the other side you can pull out the media. And important here is to do it from the center. So pull the media from the center until you feel that resistance from the clamp lever, and then you know the media is centered. The pinch rollers need to be spread evenly so that the media is fed evenly, and then this part is done. We just load up the media guides, and then make sure that the media is loaded on the left side of that line, and double check again if the media roll is still straight. And we can double check it by checking the pressures or the tension of the media on the left and right side. So now we will load in the roll if we want to use a take-up. So we will load in the empty core. And by menu, we can measure in the media. It will give you the media width. And after that, we can actually feed the media all the way to the take-up, where we will secure it first in the center again. So just make sure also now on the left and right side that the tension is the same. If we don't do this properly, the media will start to feed left and right, and that's what we don't want. And we can check the pressure again with our hand. Now we set the torque limiter. You can find in the operation guide how to set the torque limiter and which way to turn. And also the take-up, you can change the mode depending on if you roll up on with the print side on the inside or outside of the roll. And that's it. So we enter our print origin and we can print. So that's a little bit about the media and how to load in the media as we would like to see it. But we also have some uh, setup options in the printer. And for that, we go to Kai, who went to the showroom. So can we switch to Kai in the showroom?
Okay, are we live?
Hi, Kai.
Okay, great. Okay, welcome everyone to our showroom. So today we'd like to give you some tips and tricks on our latest machine, the UJV 100. So let's check it out. Okay, so what we would like to tell you today is on the setup menu, we can select several setups. So as you can see here, we have 4 setups. And the first tip we would like to give you is that you can actually change the name. So depending on the material, you can set certain presets, which we will talk through now. So the first setup you see here is the feed compensation. So we have already printed out this pattern for the adjustment. So let's go here. So as you can see here, we are two gray lines printed next to each other. And if you come more closely here, you can see here like there's no gap or overlap between, and here is some line. So this is what you would like to get. So depending on the material, this adjustment may change. So therefore, please adjust this and to prevent these kind of bends between the passes. So the second one we'd like to talk about is the drop position correction, which we have also printed here. So if we move again back to the material, as you see here, there are some certain numbers and letters printed here, like 360 standard, 720 standard, 720 high. This means the resolution as well as the print speed. So depending on the profile you are using, it will use these settings. So what you have to do here for this adjustment is that you have to look for the lines which are overlapping most. So if you see, for example, 0 here, you go into the menu, and then you can go for the 360 standard. So in this case, was printed. Then we see it was already 0, so it has been adjusted already for this material. So you can do this for all resolutions. The third one, as you can see, is actually auto correction. So what this does is actually adjust these two adjustments automatically by printing a certain pattern and then measuring with a sensor which is built into the carriage. So we have also printed this one out, so we can show it here. So I will open the cover. And as you can see here, there's a really tiny pattern which is being printed. And after printing this, it will measure it with a sensor in the carriage, and it can automatically define what the correct value is. So in our newest machines, the 100 series, this has been introduced now. Then we go to the next one, which is a logical seek. We recommend you to use this function as logical seek. What this does is, depending on what you are printing, if you turn on logical seek, it will only move the carriage up to the point that of your printing data. So if you turn it off, the whole carriage will go every time to the left and right. But if you turn it on, it will already stop at the point that where the data stops and then continues, which will speed up the printing process. And we have, of course, more settings, but we'll go through the most important and interesting ones. Another interesting one is the vacuum. So as you may hear right now, there's a vacuum running, but that's actually to hold the material on the platen. So as you can see here on the left-hand side, there are some holes. So if you turn on the vacuum, it will actually suck down the media onto the platen to stabilize the material, to have it flat, and that you can print accurately. Then furthermore, what we have here is auto cleaning. So what you can do here is that, for example, if you're printing several jobs after each other, that it will do a cleaning interval. So you can set it automatically that it will, after the certain parameters that you set, it will automatically perform a cleaning of your choice. And this would improve the printing stability, especially if you're printing, for example, overnight. And the last one I would like to cover in the setup menu is the Maps 4. Maps 4 is it's an abbreviation for Mimaki Advanced Pass System. So this is the 4th generation. And usually we recommend you to use the auto settings, because then automatically the values which have been defined by our R&D will be applied. However, if you face some printing issues, it's also possible to use it manually. But please ask your dealer for instructions regarding this function, because it can be really powerful, but it's good to get some instructions about that. All right, then we have another one which is called machine setup. So the thing with setup is that you can define it per media, as shown before. But if you go to machine setup, this is for all the 4 modes, for everything. So I would like to quickly go through a few settings. The first one is auto power off. So this means if you want, for example, to save energy and so on, you can define here, like after a certain time of inactivity, that the machine will automatically turn off. Then we have the auto power on. This is mostly for if you are working in the morning, for example, you want already the machine to be booted up, that you can start your job straight away. You can set up the certain time that you would like to wake up the machine. Take-up unit is to either activate or deactivate the take-up unit here. Then we'll go through some more settings. So key buzzer, as you may hear now, every time I touch one of the buttons it makes a sound. If you find it annoying, you can turn it off here as well. Then we also have network. So if you're printing through an Ethernet cable, you can also change the settings here. And the last thing I would like to cover, or tip I would like to give you, is about the auto remote function, which has been also introduced on the 100 series. What this does is, if you go back to this local menu here, usually on Mimaki machines you have to always press remote when you would like to start a print. But if you turn on this function, when data is sent, it will automatically go there, so it won't wait for the data. Okay. So I hope these tips were useful for you. So now back to the studio.
Thank you, Kai. Yeah. So with Kai explaining the setup menu, that's it's a really great and a lot of good tips and tricks. So we discussed how to load the media. We discussed some settings that we can do on our printer. Now I would like to go through a few tips and tricks on Rasterlink. Yori, can you start the video? All right, so we have some tips and tricks for you, 7 in total. And the first tip will be about color adjustment, some function that not a lot of people use. The second tip will be about tiling. Then we have something about spot color adjustments and a few tips about Rasterlink itself. And we'll close with the Rasterlink library. So the first tip is about color adjustment. So we are able, or you are able in Rasterlink, to adjust the color. So you go to the quality tab, and if you click on color adjust, and you set a name for your new color adjustment set, then it's possible to modify the density of your colors. So in this case, we increase the magenta by 10% in the midtones. So this is on top of the ICC profile, and then we can use that. The second tip is about tiling, and we have a tiling option. So if you have a job, for instance, a banner on the front side of a building that's too big for the size of your media, we can divide it into tiles. But we can just click on the image and divide the tiles as we wish. So if your media or your the data that you have requires you, you can just select exactly where you would like to have that tile. Then about spot color, I think a lot of you that use a CJV use CJV or a different machine which have white and clear, you use a special color plate. Now it is possible to thicken and thin this special plate. So if you print color in white with the white on the bottom, and you don't want to see this layer, you can thin this layer. So you will not be able to see it on the edges. And then we can also increase the size of our color layer. So it just scales it up and makes sure that the edges are nice. So here on the left, you can see there's still a white edge, and on the right side, we compensated it so the white is not visible. Then some tips about Rasterlink itself. If we go to our environments and there we go, and then we go to our option, then under display we have some extra displays that we can enable. The first one is print progress, and the second one is the search bar function. So first we need to restart Rasterlink once we've toggled those functions. So we will do that now. So we just restarted Rasterlink, and now you can see there's a search bar on the top. So if you have a lot of jobs and or a customer name, you can search for that name. It need to be the first name of the job title, but you can then find them. So in this case, we find 3 jobs with smile, and they are indicated in red. And we cannot select any other job until we clear it. So that's a very nice tool, the search function for the Rasterlink jobs that we have. And we also enable the print progress. So now there's a new button, print progress, and we can see here a visual display of the print progress. So this is sped up, and we can now see in real time how far we are with the print visually. So you can see how long to go. Then another tip about the function icon on the right-hand side. So we put a pink circle around it. If you select a machine, you can select the function icon that you want to have for that particular machine. And so you can optimize your own workflow. So you can move some buttons down in the order or up, and you can disable some of the functions to create your own specific workflow for the machine that you have installed into Rasterlink. Another nice tip. And last but not least, the Rasterlink library. So we opened Illustrator, and what I want to show you is that with Rasterlink, we have special libraries already included. So we go to our C drive where we installed our Rasterlink, and then we have a folder called Swatch. And for our Illustrator, here we have included in Rasterlink a number of swatches. We have a library for white, for metallic colors, and also the standard Rasterlink library with some basic functionality. So these are spot colors. So the first one is cut contour. We also have one for silver, for white, and if we want to create a top layer of white, and then also for clear and primer, we have these preset library already installed. So just as an example, we will click this layer here. We make the white layer top. We select it, and then we save it to our hot folder. And this is a must. You must save it always to your hot folder. And when you do that, so we selected white top, so the stars will be the top white layer on the top. And if we now boot up Rasterlink, you will see the job is already ready to go with the white layer on top. If you don't have a hot folder, you can just go to the Quality tab, and on the left side under Favorite, you have the option to create a hot folder. And so we click on this button, and we click on Create. It will give you a warning message about the name. But if we skip past that, we automatically create our hot folder for this machine. So there you have it, 7 tips about Raster Link. And I hope there was something new for you. And now I think it's time to go to the next chapter, which is maintenance. Kai, can you explain something about maintenance?
Yes, I can. I hope everybody can hear me loud and clear now. All right, so let's talk about maintenance. But before we do that, Michiel, could you please go to the showroom as well? Because Michiel is going to show us something about maintenance on our printer on the UJV 100 as well. Okay. So as Michiel has introduced now let's say chronologically, so the first part was about setting the media. So then you do the setups on the printer. And then the next step was to prepare the job in Rasterlink and then to print. So after printing, of course, there's also part of maintenance involved. So Jordi, can we try to switch to the showroom now? See if Michiel's ready.
Okay, are we live?
Okay.
All right.
Good.
So welcome. Let me show you something about the maintenance, as we just mentioned. So here we have the machine, and we have a maintenance menu. And if you zoom in onto the maintenance menu, there's a few things that you can do here. Of course, we know that if we go to station maintenance, we have a number of things that we can do to do our daily maintenance. We can take the carriage out and clean it by ourselves. But we also have a nozzle wash function. And for the nozzle wash, we will fill up the caps with washing liquid, and it will clean the clogged nozzles. And we can set a time it will take to do that. We also have a this way wash, and a this way wash will clean the tubes underneath the capping station to make sure they're clean. So this needs to be done also regularly. And the custody wash. So if you go on holiday and you want to turn off the machine for a long period of time, you turn on the custody wash, and then the machine will clean itself to prepare itself for the long shutdown. And the wiper need to be, of course, replaced every now and then. And please do that through the menu because the timer in the machine will reset itself. Now, one thing I would like to show you is the nozzle recovery function. And the nozzle recovery function is a function that not a lot of people use, but it's really great. So let's have a look. So here we have the nozzle recovery. And what it does is we can print all of the nozzles out onto the media. And we can see which ones are not working. And so here we have the pattern. So I already printed it out for you. Here we can see all of the nozzles that are on one of the heads. And every machine has a different type of a pattern, but the basic concept is the same. So here we see all of the nozzles, and we can find the one that is not working. And when it is not working, we can select that nozzle and turn it off and let it be replaced by another one automatically. So once we printed it, we can enter the nozzle that is missing. In this case, I printed head 1. So we go to head 1 and we fill in the nozzle that we think is missing or that we know is missing. In this case, I put here number 218. So nozzle 218 will be recovered. And so we can even reset it once we know that the nozzle is back, or we can even check on this particular model whether or not we can use this nozzle recovery for our print mode and our maps. So here you can see for this resolution, pass, and map setting, we can have a quick judgment result whether or not in this print mode this nozzle recovery will work or not. And that's a great feature to have. All right, so one more thing I would like to show you in the maintenance is the auto maintenance. And if we go here, we can select the timing for the refresh and the cleaning interval. Now the refresh is a simple purge of the ink out of the print heads, just to make sure that the nozzles are not clogging. And the cleaning is done every 12 hours or whatever time we set to do a cleaning of our choice. We can do a soft, normal, or hard cleaning at that cleaning interval. So if you face nozzles that are regularly missing, or you're printing a different difficult application, then you can use this function and increase that cleaning automatically to keep your nozzles fresh. Then I would like to show you a little bit about the nozzle check, because we can of course print this pattern, but we can also let it do it automatically. And this is very nice if you are indeed printing overnight or over the weekend, and you print a job and you want to make sure that the nozzles are in good condition. You can set it automatically, and it will do automatically a printing check after a certain number of jobs that you set, and it will check whether or not nozzles are missing. It will use this device that's here in the machine. I just took it out for you. Um, and this device can detect each nozzle, whether or not it is missing. And it's a great tool to have also in this machine. Certainly for, as I said, weekend jobs, automatic detection of the missing nozzle, and auto recovery and cleanings. Yeah, to make sure that the weekend jobs are done okay. So that is some nice tips and tricks about the maintenance. I hope you learned something new. And I think we go back to the studio now. Thank you.
All right. Welcome back. And thank you very much, Michiel, for showing us some about the maintenance functions on our printer. Please come back soon, so you will be on time for the Q&A session. All right. So now I'd like to furthermore also continue with the automatic maintenance, so the maintenance performed by the printer automatically. So as you can see here on the diagram here on the right hand side, we recommend you to always shut down the printer with the shutdown button on the panel itself, so not on the side, because then even if you shut it down, it will wake up itself and then to perform these kind of maintenances that Michiel just explained. Okay, so now I would like to proceed with the manual maintenance. But before I do that, if you already have some questions, please send them in already so we can already prepare to answer them. If it's clear, that's also fine, of course. But if you have any questions, please feel free. We'll try to discuss them at the end of the webinar. Okay, so about manual maintenance. So most of, as Michiel presented, we have a lot of automatic maintenance built in, so to save you the time and manual labor. But there are still some things that you have to do manually, physically yourself. So for this, for every machine, we have a manual called Request for Care and Maintenance, in which we describe, what to perform and how to perform. We're really nice with some pictures and images. So today I would like to just cover a few, which are also in most of our Mimaki's machines. So the first thing what I just wanted to show here is about shaking the ink. So in this case, it's a bottle, but it could be a cartridge, depending on what model you have. It's mainly for white inks with bigger pigments, so with silver and also with orange. We recommend you to shake it regularly. But for the exact timing, because also for other inks, it may be possible that we recommend you to shake it for the color consistency. Please check the the request for care and maintenance manual for your specific machine to find out how often to do this. So please be sure to do this as well. Another thing is actually, so after printing, this, by the way, is also something that depends printer to printer. So some printers you have to do this daily, some printers you have to do this weekly, but the procedure is mainly the same for all machines. So what you can see here in this diagram, in this picture, is the bottom of a carriage. So the white part are the print heads, and the pink reddish part is the bottom of the carriage that you have to clean. And cleaning is done with, as you can see, like we call it a swab. And you can use cleaning liquid. So depending on also the ink you're using, we have different cleaning liquids. But about that, I will tell you something later during my presentation. Then another thing which you also can do, so what I show here is about the cap to clean it there, and also the wiper itself. To wipe also clean it. It's the similar way as the bottom of the carriage. Then another thing which should be performed also regularly is the nozzle wash. So Michiel also discussed this briefly during his presentation, but what this does is you create some kind of bath of cleaning liquid inside the cap so that the head can rest in it, so the head surface can be cleaned. And you can set the time depending on yeah, how bad it is, how long you want to clean it. But another nice thing what we have built into Mimaki machines is actually a maintenance cartridge. So for some machines, we have actually a maintenance slot on the side. And what this does is it will supply some cleaning solution to the wiper and also to the cap to perform, for example, nozzle wash automatically so that you don't need this manual work. So we try to really reduce the amount of manual work that, yeah, to make it as convenient as possible for you, to you. Okay, so we also have, we discussed now the automatic maintenance and the manual maintenance to perform, let's say, on a weekly or yeah, regular basis. But what we also, yeah, as you yeah, maintain your car probably also yearly, we also recommend you to also perform these kind of maintenance on your Mimaki printer. So yeah, what does this contain? So this also depends, of course, depending on your printer, but most of the time it's items which are in contact with ink or moving parts, and it's not necessarily changing, but also greasing moving parts and so on. So we recommend you to perform these kind of maintenance, yeah, preventive maintenance as well. And for the exact content and so on, please contact your local dealer. They probably have some service package or other solutions for you, so please contact them. And if you don't know who your dealer is, if you go to the Mimaki Europe website, there's actually a tool called the dealer locator. And if you go there and you type in your country or your region, then you will be able to find your local dealer who will help you with the maintenance of your printer. But as I briefly already mentioned as well, so I would like to now proceed also with telling you something about online resources. So where you can find certain information, because we have a lot of sources. So we would like to give you some tips of what you can find where. So the first thing is actually our virtual showroom, where you can find demos, tutorials, and webinars. And what you can, as you can see in the right bottom corner, there are some QR codes. So no need to rush to click this, scan it, because as Peter already mentioned, the recording will be made available on YouTube and other platforms as well. So you can access it later. But just to give an idea, so if you access the virtual showroom, you see something as what you see now on your screen. So you can look around, and if you click on some buttons, you can get some preview of some samples or play some demos. So there's a really interactive, nice website to tell you something about. And there's also Mimaki Europe YouTube channel, on which you can also find all these yeah, videos as well. But if you go to the virtual showroom, it's like in a structured way, so you can easily find the content you are looking for. And the second resource is actually the YouTube channel of our global support department. And on this channel, this is actually where you can find some instruction videos about, for example, how to do maintenance, but also about how to, yeah, like what Michiel showed about, that actually also came from this site. It's about setting media. So these kind of tips and tricks, or, tutorial instruction videos are all on the GSG Global Support YouTube channel. So it's really nice. It's also divided for a machine series, so you have different videos for that. So you can find the videos specifically for your machine. Then I think this is the last thing I want to show, but I have a few things I want to show actually on this web page. So this is the Mimaki Japan website, but then the English version. And what you can find here is actually, it's really nice. If you go to this download section, on the right hand side, you can actually select the machine that you have. And for example, in this case, we selected the JV100. And then if you press on the download and then the manual, you can see actually a list with all the manuals that we have available. And for example, the manual that I just showed with the daily maintenance, this you can find here as well. And actually, as you see maybe here on the left-hand side a little bit, there you see also a button called Profile. So if you press on that button, you get to this page. And what you can find here is actually, yeah, as you may know, the ink may react differently on the media, so on the material you're using. So depending on the material you're using, we have different types of what we call the ICC profiles. So to get the same color on different types of material. So what we recommend you to do is to download the profile for the material you're using. So if you go to that page and then press profile, then what you can do here is you can select the, for example, the material you are using, but also the resolution, so the quality. So the higher the resolution, the better the quality, but also it will be taking more time to print. But you can find all these kind of profiles as well here. And after downloading the profile, as you can see here now on the right hand side, you can load it into the profile manager. So the profile manager is a program which comes with Rasterlink. So when you install Rasterlink, you get this tool as well. So you can actually load the profile here. And yeah, if you need some extra tips or help with this, there is a reference guide for Rasterlink, but also you can contact your local dealer to get some help for this. And then the last thing also from the Mimaki website, so there's a lot of information you can find, so we'll just cover a few. So here we have also the supply page, actually. So depending on the machine, you can also select supply. And what you can find here is actually the consumables. So like the swab size we just showed, but also the cleaning liquid. So you know for sure that you are using the correct cleaning liquid. So what they show here is actually also the part number. So if you use this part number, you can order it at your local dealer. You see the quantity for which machines it's used as well. So it's really, really nice. I think a powerful, easy but powerful website. All right, thank you very much so far. And yeah, I see that there are some questions coming in, but please feel free to sending them in. And now I'd like to give the word to Peter.
Thank you very much, Kai, for explaining this to all of us. As mentioned in the beginning, you can send questions to the chat and we will answer them after this FAQ session. FAQ, actually, we took some, let's say, most known questions from our YouTube channel, so actually from our social channels, and a few questions we took that we were going to explain in this next part of this webinar. How to improve cutting accuracy on UGV or CGV series. To be honest, yeah, always we know that our dealers, when they install the machine, they do cutting adjustments from the service menu. This is something that the customer cannot do. So this is what we call service cutting adjustments. This should be, of course, perfectly correct. But then there's still some things that you as a customer can do. You choose your cut condition. So the cut condition in this case, we have cut 1, we have cut 2, we have cut 3. We have a few settings. In this case, we're using cut 1. You can reduce the speed, yeah, but you can also hide the pressure. It depends a little bit on your media, of course. This is the kiss cut pressure, what we're calling. But we can also have the offset. The offset is actually mentioned when you buy the knife from Mimaki. So the knife from Mimaki, on the box there is a little sticker that shows a number which is the offset. So if you suddenly change to a different kind of knife, you need to change the offset according to that setting. Half cut on means actually we are going to print partly or cut partly through the backing. But what is then the half cut pressure? The half cut pressure is actually the extra pressure added to the normal pressure. We saw some cases when people put far too high pressure in here. So this is the extra pressure it needs on top of the normal pressure to cut through your backing. Half length and cut length. Half length is actually the part that is going completely to the backing, and the cut length is the normal kissing cut length. Now, to test if your cutting will be okay, there is a test cut. And this should look perfectly like this square. It should be easily to take the sticker off. It should not take some of the backing with it, because then your knife is too deep. We have two ways of print and cut. You can print and cut without register marks, but we can also print with register marks. And with register marks, it might be a little bit more accurate. It's a bit slower, but might be more accurate. We have many types of crop marks. Inner and outer register marks, continuous register marks, immediate register marks. All is explained in the Rasterlink manual. There is a special chapter about how to print and cut. On some machines, the size of the crop marks and the type of the crop marks you need to set exactly the same as you set them in Raster. Otherwise, you can have problems. When you only print and cut, there are two ways to also adjust something in Raster, but you need to check if you want to print with register marks or without register marks. So you go to the general print settings in Raster, and when there is a print and cut file, there will be a cut edit tab. And the only thing what you need to check is print this pattern, but you can switch on and off the register mark. If you don't use register mark, you need to set, as shown in below pictures, you need to set per DPI setting and also print this pattern per DPI setting. When you want to use register marks, you just click add register mark, you print the pattern again, and you will adjust only the TP offset, which is only one value. You need to choose the value because it will cut these little magenta blocks. You need to choose the value which cuts, is the most accurate cut of this magenta block. So this could be -4, +4, or whatever. Very important. We get a lot of questions about driver errors in Raster. Suddenly there pops a driver error in Raster and the machine will stop printing and it's going offline actually, so your computer cannot connect with it anymore. There are a few things that we need to check. Of course, you need to be sure that you have the latest USB driver in case you use USB, and also very important that you have the latest drivers inside your computer for your USB ports or any other hardware device. So always check for that. One thing we see a lot in Windows is able to use power save settings on the USB ports. Now, to change that, you go in, this is a Windows 7 example, but in Raster or in Windows 10 it works a little bit the same. You open your computer management, you click on properties and you go to your device manager and you look for all generic USB hubs or USB root hubs. Once you have found one, you double click on one and a tab is coming like this and you will see power management, and you will see that normally in standard computers, Windows allows the computer to turn off this device to save power. We need to switch that off. Do this for all USB root hubs, because on some machines you need also a dongle, like JVX 200, 500, you need a dongle to be able to run with Raster. This dongle is also on a USB port, and when that dongle is switched off, you get a strange text that say it's not a registered version. This is a very important one. If you still have problems that your machine is disconnecting, check the USB cable. If it's too long, then try to put a powered USB hub in between. So 2-meter USB cable, then a powered USB hub, and then from that powered USB hub you connect to your computer. Which operating systems are supported by Raster? Well, this is information you can find on our Mimaki global website, Mimaki.com. You go just to this tab over there. You can scan also this QR code again, but all information about which operating system can be used for which Mimaki program, like Raster, FineCut, can be found on our global website. Also for the Mac series, we have a special, let's say, software like for FineCut, you have a special Mac series. And all the requirements that we support are found on the Mimaki global site. And for Mac, this is mainly FineCut, means applicable products are mainly our cutters like CGFX and SR3 series. This is also one of the questions we got, and we needed to look for it. I'm using a CGV 150, whatever CGV this can be, and after printing one job, my media is suddenly cut off. It's like a sheet cut. How to stop this? There's only one setting in Raster that you can switch on or off to prevent this, and this is in the quality tab. So where you decide where to put your which profile to use, you will see cut media after print. Switch it off, and then probably that problem is solved. Yeah, a nice question about one of our new machines, the UGV 100. Can we use white and clear at the same time? I think they mean print at the same time. Unfortunately, on this machine, that is not possible. You will see an overview about the ink sets in the UGV 100 series. So we have CMYK, we have CMYK with white in head 2, but also with white in head 1. So you need to decide before you buy this machine if you want to print color, then white, or first white and then color. You cannot do both on this machine. The one that the question is about is the last option actually. When we have white and clear, it's always in the same head. And this is why you cannot print at one time. It's not possible to divide this head in many, let's say, layers. It's simply not possible. This is the spec of the machine, so that's actually what it is. Still, you can print, of course, color and clear, and color and white, but clear and white will simply not work. The machine doesn't also have a pull-back function, means 3-layer printing is not supported on this machine. If you require more layers, like 3, 4, or 5-layer printing, you should consider to think about the UZGV 300, which is can do that for you. So it's time for our Q&A session. I'm just looking. Oh yeah. Yeah, are the manuals also downloadable from Mimaki Europe website? Yes, they are. You can download manuals also from Mimaki Europe website, but there are also links that automatically link you to the Mimaki.com site. So yeah, if you go to Mimaki Europe, you will find a lot of information, especially about dealer locator. Also, I want to mention over there. But there are certainly links. If it's not on that site, they will link you through the Mimaki.com site or every other site. So it's possible, yeah. I think, Michiel, you pick up the next question.
Yeah, so before we continue, yeah, so keep sending in the questions. Now is the time to answer them. And yeah, we're ready here for you to answer those questions. The next question that we have is if you can turn off the shaking bottles message on your printer. And I think this is about shaking bottles with white. So a lot of printers that print with white have a lot of printers that print with white. You will get a message on your screen. It's a warning message that will say, please shake the white ink bottles. That message you cannot turn off, and it's actually quite important to shake the bottles. If you don't, you will either get a color difference because the pigment of white is quite heavy. So if you don't shake it, you will get a color difference over time, and this is not what you want. And secondly, yeah, it can clog eventually. It can clog your ink line or cause other issues. So please do shake your bottles. Don't shake them too heavy, that it will fill with air bubbles inside. So just follow the daily care and maintenance guide and shake the bottles regularly as indicated by the printer. Yeah.
Okay, so we received another question regarding the custody wash. So the question is it can I turn off the printer after performing custody wash? The answer is no. So as Michiel also explained during his part, there's a custody wash. If you want to leave the printer for some time, you can perform it indeed, but you still need to keep it powered so it can continue its automatic maintenance. So you need to keep it plugged.
Yeah, then moving on to the next question. Please keep sending them in. We have a few more minutes to answer your questions. And the next question is, I cannot. So they cannot find the profile for the media. Where to find it? So as explained already, so we have online, we have web pages where you can find the profiles for your media, for your inkset. Sometimes if a new inkset is released or a new printer is released, it will take some time for additional manuals to be or profiles to be uploaded. But if you use a specific application or a local brand of media, you can find a comparable profile or make one yourself using Mimaki Profile Master, which is a different software set where you can create your own profile for your own specific application or material. So that is always an option. So we have a program called Mimaki Profile Master 3 where you can create your profiles.
Okay, and the next question is how can I find my local dealer? So as also explained before, on the Mimaki Europe website, we have actually a dealer locator, a tool. So if you go there, you can just fill in your own location, and then you can find the closest dealer, and who will be happy to assist you.
All right. I think that is it for now. I think we can end the session, and so I hope that you did enjoy it, that you learned something from it. Yeah, this session, as mentioned before, we will make sure it's available to you at a later time if you want to rewatch it or get the links. For now, I think on behalf of all three of us, yeah, thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. Make sure to stay tuned for more content on the Mimaki Innovation Days, and yeah, good luck printing. Thank you.
Thank you very much.